You know, there's this really popular idea out there that science has basically settled the whole free will debate. And the verdict? Well, it's just an illusion. But what if that entire conclusion, that whole idea, is built on a super shaky foundation? In this explainer, we're going to dive into a physicist's argument that pretty much challenges everything we think we know about this.
Okay, so let's just lay out the common argument, right? It goes something like this. We live in a universe with fixed physical laws. That means every single effect has a cause, and you can trace that chain of cause and effect all the way back to the Big Bang. So what does that mean for us? It means our choices today were supposedly set in motion billions of years ago. I mean, case closed, right? Well, not so fast. A really fascinating argument from a physicist's perspective is about to come in and challenge that entire idea.
So let's just be super clear on what this popular scientific argument is really saying. It basically suggests that your brain, right? It's a physical thing. It's made of atoms, and those atoms have to obey the laws of physics. So that means your decisions, they're just the end result of a really, really complex, but ultimately predictable chain reaction. And if that's true, well, free will just can't fit into that picture. There's just no room for it. But this is where the counter-argument just slams on the brakes, and it's a really powerful one. It actually calls the whole idea of using our current understanding of physics to rule out free will ridiculous. Yeah, that's a strong word, right? And it's the starting point for this fascinating critique that starts to question the very tools we're using to measure reality in the first place. Okay, so really get our heads around this bold claim, we have to look at the very bedrock, the foundation that's used to debunk free will, and that's physics and mathematics. And, well, it turns out that bedrock might have some pretty serious cracks in it. I mean, just think about these questions for a second. What is a number, really? Like, fundamentally, what is it? Or how about infinity or continuity? These are concepts that math and physics, they rely on them every single day. And yet, we don't actually have complete, universally agreed upon definitions for them. They're kind of these mysteries that we just accept and work with. Isn't that wild?
And this really gets to the core of the whole thing. I mean, if the very concepts we're using to build our physical laws aren't even fully understood, then how on earth can we possibly use those same laws to make absolute final declarations about something as ridiculously complex as free will? The argument here is that maybe, just maybe, our sense of scientific certainty is a bit of an illusion itself. And it doesn't even stop there with just shaky definitions. The argument actually goes even deeper. It draws this massive, crucial distinction between the rules of physics and the actual reality that those rules are supposed to be describing. So, according to this perspective, physics as we know it today is absolutely incredible at describing the laws and patterns of nature, the how things work. But, and this is a direct quote, it has no clue what reality consists of. It has no idea about the what. So think of it like this. Physics gives us the complete rulebook for the game of the universe, but it doesn't tell us what the game board or the pieces are actually made of. This just highlights that massive gap, doesn't it? We get the laws, we can see the symmetries, but the actual machinery of reality, the fundamental stuff that everything is made of, that is a total mystery. It's exactly like having the software but having absolutely no idea what the hardware is. So this leads to a pretty powerful conclusion. Any argument against free will that talks about, say, one object, like a neuron, causing another object to fire, well, that argument is fundamentally flawed. And why is that? It's because we don't even know what those objects truly are at the most basic level. We don't even know if their separation from each other is a real thing. Okay, so when you take these shaky foundations and you add in these huge gaping holes in our knowledge, well, we're led to a conclusion that completely flips the script on that popular narrative we started with. It turns everything on its head. But it's super important to note, this argument is very specific. This isn't some claim for all of eternity. No, it's about what we can logically conclude based on the limits of what we know right here, right now. And here it is, the big reveal. Based on the profound limits of our current scientific understanding, the conclusion is that it is much more likely that we have free will than that we do not. Why? Because all the arguments against it, they require a level of certainty, a completeness of knowledge about reality that we just don't have. But look, this whole thing isn't just about flipping a verdict from no free will to yes free will. The ultimate point here is actually way more profound. It's about questioning whether we should even be putting free will on trial in the first place, given the evidence we currently have. And this final thought really is a challenge to all of us. The idea is this.
You probably shouldn't even formulate the question of free will without having a state-of-the-art understanding of what reality even is. It suggests the entire debate is just premature. Trying to answer the question today is like trying to map an entire continent with a tiny little ruler. We just don't have the right tools for the job yet. And that's really where we have to leave it. The ultimate takeaway here isn't a neat and tidy answer, but a much deeper question. With so many fundamental mysteries still sitting at the very heart of physics, is our rush to declare the death of free will a sign of how much we know? Or maybe a sign of our own hubris? It's something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this one.